Democratic presidential candidate, Representative Tulsi Gabbard, appeared on Breitbart News recently.
Who?
That would be Breitbart. Breitbart, the very far right, the very conservative, the conspiratorial website, Breitbart.
Breitbart.
Yes.
Some emails just got released. In regard to Breitbart. Breitbart was communicating with White House advisor Stephen Miller. And in these emails and in this email exchange, there was a lot of white supremacist, white nationalist type rhetoric.
Yeah.
Between this news organization
And Stephen Miller.
I just wanted to point that out right.
It's very surprising. Very surprising. I have to tell you, I'm
just
shocked.
kind of to give idea who Breitbart is, what Breitbart is.
And what kind of platform that Tulsi Gabbard actually
audience Breitbart tends to cater to.
So anyway, with that being said, let's play this clip of Tulsi Gabbard once again just letting a Republican talking point stand.
You have said some things on immigration I like quite a bit, that we can't have an open border, for example.
Yep.
That you differ from a lot of your colleagues on that, on the Democratic side.
I look at every issue, whether it's domestic policy or foreign policy, based on what I believe is in the best interest of our country and based on the substance of the actual policy, not being so reactive to saying, well, I've got to be for this because those guys are against that or whatever. And the same applies to immigration. The reality is that we do not have a nation if we don't have borders. It's a false choice for people to say, you're anti-immigrant if you support secure borders. That's just not the case. I think that we can and we must have a secure border policy that's actually effective and works, and also reform our immigration system so that it works for our country. It can be a safe, secure border along with a humane immigration policy and achieve both objectives.
You know what I heard and all that? Will? Not a damn thing. She said not a damn thing. Now, she said a lot. But she really didn't give an answer. She really didn't offer an actual detailed alternative policy. But one quote stood out to me. One little thing she said was, "We do not have a nation if we don't have borders."
Why did that stand out to you?
That stands out because that's something a lot of white nationalists say. Because, I do think it's important for us to highlight what platform she was on.
Yeah, that would be Breitbart.
That would be Breitbart. So that seemed to be something she was doing to speak to their audience. Now,
sort of like a dog whistle.
Sound like a dog whistle. So we can have open borders. We said we can't have open borders, so you can differ on policy and blah, blah, blah. You can't have open borders. Now, do we have open borders? Do we have anybody advocating open border policy?
See, that's a question that I would ask too, because
anybody. I don't care what party they're from.
I'm trying to think of any politician.
Because she said you differ.
Yes.
He said you differ from those in your party.
Yes.
So he
said you differ from a lot of your colleagues in your own party on the subject of open borders, because he said that a lot of her views, or some of her views that he likes. This is Alex Marlowe, who is the editor-in-chief. He says that he likes some of her ideas about, hey, she doesn't support open borders, so you differ from a lot of colleagues on your side of the aisle. And she lets it ride. She doesn't offer any pushback on that narrative, even though, like my man here was saying, there's not currently a Democratic politician that is in office, and I could probably even go that's been in office for the last 10, 20 years or so. There's not a Democratic politician that is running for president. There's nobody on the Democratic side of the aisle that is saying that, you know what, all of these checkpoints, all these points of entries, all of these barriers that we even have, we should do away with all of that. Open borders, that's the way to go. There's nobody actually advocating for that type of ideology or that kind of, I guess, policy position. So why would she let that ride? Why would she just let this? And this is a Republican talking point. Republicans always love to just throw out there that the Democratic Party is the party of open borders when it's a complete lie. Why would she, once again, let this ride? Because she let this ride when she was interviewed by another conservative, even though I believe he called himself a libertarian, I believe. But that would be, what'd you call him again? What do you call him? What'd you call him?
Who?
Dave Dubin?
Oh, Rafe Dubin.
Rafe Dubin?
Rafe
Yeah,
Dubin.
Rafe Dubin. Dave Rubin. But she was on his platform as well some months back, and she let a similar question just ride about how the Democratic Party is the party of open borders. She just lets that ride and doesn't say that's a completely false way of characterizing things.
So in both of those situations, you referenced Rafe Dubin's show, she let it ride. In this situation, she actually tries to explain herself, but she actually contradicted herself based on how the question was presented to her. Did you hear she said something about the false choice? When actually she was entertaining the false choice, right? She was saying there's a false choice between, securing the borders and I guess immigration reform. There's always this false choice in immigration reform.
Yeah.
But she was actually kind of giving credence to that false choice right there.
Yeah.
By not pushing back about concerning this open borders kind of rhetoric that he was pushing on her. That's the false choice right there. Mm-hmm. That because, there are certain people in this country that don't want a wall, that means they want open borders. So she was supporting this kind of false choice, yes. Even though she was trying to act as if she's not involved. She doesn't get involved in false choices. But I would have really liked for her to kind of outline what her policy would be. It was just general rhetoric. Well, we have to have immigration policy that's good for the country.
Well, again, if we go back just a few months, actually the beginning of this year, remember when we had the whole fight, the government shutdown, the partial government shutdown, and Tulsi Gabbard, while she was on CNN, she was saying that both sides are guilty here for this shutdown. She was putting the blame on both sides because they have taken a hardline position. And what they need to do is actually come to the table in good faith and this and that. But her position was the exact same as every single Democratic politician that was currently in office then. They did not want the wall that Trump wanted, the wall that Trump shut the government down for. She had the same exact position. She said so herself that she was not for the wall.
So she was being a contrarian for the sake of it.
Yes.
We definitely are not riding with Democrats on a regular basis, right? Right?
Yeah, on a lot of things.
On a lot of things, and we definitely don't like their approach in regard to, the wall in negotiating with Trump, because they always give Republicans too much. But
earlier this year, they did the right thing.
Their position was they were not trying to let Trump have a wall.
And they held steadfast to that position.
I don't want Trump to have a wall either.
Exactly.
That's just...
So if they're doing the right thing, there's this, I guess, suggestion that Tulsi Gabbard shouldn't do the Democratic Party any favors.
Has nothing to do with the Democratic Party, though.
It doesn't. It has to do with a position. If this is your position and the Democratic Party also has the same position, then what? You're going to say that they're to blame even though you hold... You can have a negative view of several Democratic Party positions. Mm-hmm. You can have a negative view of that all day long, because we do as well. We don't like the way they conduct themselves on a whole host of issues. How they run away from Medicare for all, and how they are supportive of the war on drugs, and how they're supportive of the military-industrial complex. We can go on and on and on and on. But when they actually have the same idea that we have, when they're actually trying to do the right for whatever reason, I don't care what the reason is, but if they are taking a position that lines up with the position that I have, I'm not going to say, well, damn, the Democrats, well, they have this position, so it must be wrong, so I have to blame them in some way, somehow. No, I'm just going to say that, yeah, well, here they are in this position, this particular situation, they're doing the right thing. And keep it moving. But Tulsi Gabbard finds some way to criticize him, and when she goes on these conservative platforms, she lets on that, hey, yeah, the Democratic Party is actually the party of open borders.
And like, we gotta like look at the hidden context in the stuff she said. And like you said about the statement that I quoted her on of saying, you said it was a dog whistle. You know, so when anybody says things like we gotta have immigration policies that's good for the country, that doesn't seem like a very humanitarian thing to say. That seems like something somebody would say if they believe that these outsiders are, you know, hurting the country and not helping in any kind of way. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. You don't say that unless you think that. You know what I'm saying? It just I just don't understand why she is kind of constantly doing this, going on these platforms, kind of almost giving legitimacy to these very xenophobic and racist and bigoted viewpoints. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know what the hell she's doing.